This is MC Fireside Chats, a weekly show featuring conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and outdoor hospitality experts who share their insights to help your business succeed. Hosted by Searl, the founder and CEO of Insider Perks, empowered by insights from Modern Campground, the most innovative news source in the industry.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of MC Fireside Chats. My name is Searl with Insider Perks, also with Modern Campground and a few other places, but not as many as Amir. How many are you at, Amir? It's aspirational for me. I just need to know real quick.
Five.
Five. Okay. All right. I've got, I don't know, some to go. Cool. Super excited to be here for our last episode of 2024. Got a nice Christmassy background. We got at least one person in a Christmas hat and apparently some more people in some sweatshirts and stuff like that I did not participate in. My entire room that you can't see is ripped up, building a new podcast studio for 2025. And this is the last episode. My Christmas gift to all of you who are watching is that I will have a co-host in 2025 again, which means that you will have to hear me talk even less, which is already, it's going to be a great show anyway because of all of you people here. But so super excited to be here. I don't know, like what do we want to talk about? Like, what do we want to lead with? Because all of you have been on the show before. We've all had great conversations. We talked about your businesses. I think the interesting thing for me is, how did 2024 go for all of you? Was it your expected outcome? Did it meet your expectations? And then maybe what you're looking forward to 2025. And then anything else you want to talk about that keeps me from talking is also fine. So let's start with Matthew because he's got a cool hat on.
Well, thank you.
If you just want to introduce everybody real quick, right?
So,
and then
Matt Bragstad. So your glamping adventure out of Tennessee. So we're Middle East Tennessee between Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. This is obviously not Tennessee because when it's 50 degrees up there, I go and couch surf my parents' house. It seems like these days because Tarpon Springs is way nicer than Tennessee. And this is just kind of a tent. It's kind of a glamping-ish thing going on here. 2024, our goal is to double the number of doors every single year as far as the structures, and we did that. We actually quadrupled last year, so it was a huge year for us. All self-funded, so that was exciting. We're obviously, you start to hit critical masses as far as the number of followers that are happening, the repeat guests start happening, the people that tell their friends, the quality, I would say, of the social media influencers is increasing, and so as a result of that, we had a lot of fun. We had, I would say, a lot of success. I think we are exactly where the business plan that I wrote 2 years ago, exactly where we're supposed to be. I think 2025 is exciting, mostly because I think glamping seems, at least in Middle Tennessee, the area I'm in, hotter than ever. Glamping in that space, hotter than ever. The ability to work with some of the local tourism, as well as the state level tourism, has just gone through the roof. And I think we're, all the right connections, all the right people. It's just serendipitously seems to happen when you put yourself in a position to be successful. And so I would say, both from a professional perspective, as well as, just from an overall energy vibe, what's happening. It was a nice year, and it's looking pretty nice for 2025 at this point. Not 75 and sunny yet, but we're working on 75 and sunny.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway I have from there is, how did you get to your parents to switch and allow you to come down? Like, here's the thing, the backstory. I've been trying to convince Amir to swap Canada for Florida with me for years. And he keeps telling me he loves the cold and wants to be up here.
So I grew up in Saskatchewan, Brian. I don't know where you are in Canada. So I woke up one day for college, it was minus 86. So like whole different definition of cold.
I'm in Calgary. So like not like we.
Same. I love Calgary. Calgary's one of my favorites. My sister's in Kalispell, just south of you.
Nice.
My parents, when they left, moved to the north shore of Lake Superior, which might be one of the cold, like just south of Thunder Bay in Minnesota. And so it didn't take Dad very many visits to Florida before he realized he didn't actually remember what warm was anymore. And you get him down here, and now I don't know that he'll ever go back. kind of likes being
I
warm.
love it because we have the blue skies and sun in Calgary, so I can go snowshoeing and do outdoors in the mountains and all that kind of stuff. Like it's cold, but it can easily swing 10°C day to day.
Yeah, I would prefer that to the beach every single day, Brian. But I'll suffer through my time just walking on.
Look like you're suffering.
I'll just suffer. Yeah. It's okay. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to take that one for the team, for all of us here.
I appreciate that. Amir, when are you coming to Canada?
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
They make a strong recommendation, Amir, not till like May-ish time frame.
Probably, yeah.
No, then I want to stay in Canada. We're talking about a house swap here. Amir, introduce yourself, please, sir.
Well, my name is Amir, based in Southwest Florida. We own and operate parks in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, East Tennessee.
All right, so tell us 2024 versus 2025.
Well, I have some strong opinions. There's some feedback coming from somewhere. I'm not sure from who.
There is. I'm not sure if that's. Yeah. We can mute people selectively if we need to, but I don't know where that's
okay. 2024 versus 2025. I feel like 2025 will be marked by way more long-term seasonal campers as opposed to transient campers. I feel like the industry is going back to its roots in many ways. I think this, in my opinion, will be the biggest trend that we're going to see.
Okay, you think it's like an affordability thing, or why are they going back to long term?
Well, I think obviously during COVID, everything exploded, and campgrounds and RV parks were one of the few options that were given to us. So that's why our RV sales were exploding. People were using it to go camping. As COVID went away and other forms of vacation came back, people were RV'd out, as I said, and wanted to go experience cruising, Europe, hotels, and other forms, and parks that were a lot of parks that were purchased during COVID were actually long-term parks that were converted by new buyers to short-term parks. And in my opinion, they failed to ask the question, why were these long-term parks in the first place? Were they even justified to be operated as short-term parks? And a lot of them lacked the experiential part. It was more of a parking lot or a place to park your RV, but very limited amenities or experiences around the actual stay itself. And I also think you're right. It's also an affordability thing, Brian. Inflation has gone through the roof since 2021, and people are using RV parks as affordable housing in many, many ways.
All right, that's fair. Who do we want to do next? Let's do Richard. He's got a awesome bright orange sweatshirt that caught my eye. So
I think like a number
I used to have a Jeep that color, Richard. Used to have a Jeep, right?
We like to be seen. In 2024, we have a campground up in Wisconsin. We've had it for about 10 years. And for the last 3 years, COVID and then the 2 years afterwards, we were almost exactly the same each year as far as site nights goes. This last year, we were down about 1 or 2% in site nights, but we were up in revenue. So our campers are coming, they're still willing to spend money, but we dropped a little bit. So we've been really pushing, we're adding seasonal sites. We're about half seasonal and half weekend. And we've got a lot of demand for the seasonal sites. So we still have a waiting list for that. So we're working to add more seasonals, but we're also trying to work on getting more people in on those shoulder seasons. Early in the season and late in the season, people just aren't interested in camping up in Wisconsin. It's really Memorial Day to Labor Day, but we're open way before Memorial and way after Labor. So we have to think about that. About, I think 6 of the weekends during the summer, we're totally booked. But other weekends we have availability. And since we're in the middle of nowhere, we also have a lot of availability during the week. So we're encouraging people to come midweek. we've set up a system now. If they camp for 2 nights, they get Wednesday night free. So if it's before or after, to try to get people. We have our internet service, so people now can work from here. They can work remotely when they come. We've got 7 cabins, so people can take those. So we're working to figure out how to get more people in on those off weeks and early and late in the season.
And you think 2025 is going to be good?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we're doing a lot. And it's interesting because the next county over voted us the best campground in their county.
They stole you and put you in their county?
Yeah, so we're going to use that in our advertising as well. But in general, we've got one person who does a lot with Facebook, and that makes a big difference for us. We never had that before.
Sure. Yep.
And we're getting posts out there probably 3 times a week. And we're now focusing, like we're taking one theme weekend and talking about it, and then we have another theme weekend. So almost every weekend for us is a theme weekend. And we're trying to get people interested in it. And maybe, do you want to come for our music festival, or are you interested in the mimosa stroll? Things like that. So starting to plant the bug and get people to book. Some of the campgrounds don't allow anybody to do booking until the beginning of January. We don't. For us, you can book a year in advance.
Yeah, I never could figure out why people waited until that long to do that, but it always mystified me. Yeah. Like, I know the rates thing, right, is the whole thing. Is Sarah, give us your opinion on it, and of course you can talk about your campground management course.
On the booking in January, we stopped doing that a couple years ago, and what seemed to come out of that was it took away the excitement of that booking and kind of dragged out our booking process a little more than we thought it would. So we actually have considered going back to that January 1st booking.
Okay.
It's kind of it's an odd thing. I don't know. I thought the same thing when I got into this industry 8 years ago. I said, if you would have told me I'd be taking reservations and payments from somebody a year in advance for a campsite, I would have called you crazy.
I mean, what do I know? Like, I'm not brave enough to own a campground, so like I'm usually the one that's wrong. So 2024, 2025, what do you think?
2024 was an awesome year for us. If anybody remembers, when I was on here before, we acquired a campground in 2022, and we had a lot of struggles with taking it over. And then our construction was delayed last year. So this year our pond opened and our concession stand open, and we had an amazing crew. We had an amazing group of J1s. Like, everything was just so great. It was awesome. So I'm looking forward to 2025 because I've got more things up my sleeve, and it was just awesome. And we're switching reservation systems right now. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing technology.
Shout out your new reservation system. You don't have to say the old one that sucked, but the new one.
We're switching to New Book. And I think that all the great reservation systems all have some really great features. We're hoping to really utilize on some more customer technology, which I think New Book has a ton of. And so I love bringing that to our customers. We always want to focus on kind of that resort feel and making things easier and less manual for us. So that's where we're going with that. And it's fun. I'm super excited.
Awesome. I will let you talk about your campground management course, but I'm going to fit that in a little bit later because I'm going to ask everybody kind of what is your maybe one tip for 2025 and things you can do to be successful. And I think learning is a big piece of that for me and certainly for you if you're putting out a course, right?
Yeah.
So I think we can definitely come back and talk about that. Nominate somebody next, Sarah, because I don't want to feel like I'm picking and singling people out. There's nobody else
who had the baby and took it away from us.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. We've got a new baby daughter. Well, she's 6 months old now. So yeah, she's off with her mum in the kitchen now. So they're chilling out because she'll either be amazing and everybody will fall in love with her, or she'll sit here and cry at you all because she doesn't know who you are. So it's probably best to keep her out the way for now. But yeah, I'm Derry. I own the Secret Garden Glamping. We're based in the UK. So we're the most viewed, most followed, and most booked site in the UK. Talking about bookings in advance and things like that. So we tend to book around 2 years in advance. So we're currently fully booked until sort of mid 2026 at the moment, and we take bookings all the way through till 2028. this year's been a ridiculous year. We've been going for 5 years as of January. But this year, earlier on this year, we did Dragon's Den in the UK, which is the same as Shark Tank in the US. So I was on there, received investment from the dragons, or the sharks in your case, which has just taken it to a whole nother level now. So it's been a really busy 2024. We've got a new site opening. We've got another site opening in February for 2025. So yeah, it's just been trying to keep up pace with everything that's going on. It's been a phenomenal year.
Now, I know you're a big proponent from our last conversation about social media, the power of all that stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you excited for when all the Americans are off TikTok and you can have more of an attention on your?
You're not going anywhere. You'll be fine. You'll still be there. In all fairness, about 30% of our TikTok audience is US based. So yeah, I mean, we've built our whole business on social media. So we have around 1.3 million followers across our social media platforms. That's ultimately what's built our business. Whenever I talk about our business, although we're a glamping site, we're a social media business that has a glamping site. And I find that most businesses are that these days. We've all got to try and market to our customers in lots of different ways. Social media is for that. And that's our exact plan for 2025, is to increase our presence even further on social media and see what else we can do there, as well as opening multiple locations in the UK and then spreading out across the world as we go forward then.
Awesome. So I'll come back to you. I want to know, I'll ask that one strategy question of 2025, but I'm interested to hear your take on one thing you could do on social, right? That might be not the surface level stuff, right? Like the cool, deep stuff that you thought about.
Lots of that.
All right, nominate somebody else. Who do you want to go next?
So who's missing? Who we're not had now? So Sue, is it Sue? No,
it's Sue. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Sue from Top of the Woods. I'm also in the UK, but more specifically in a place called Wales, out in Pembrokeshire. We've been going now, I think this is our 11th year. We're an eco glamping camping site. So we have a mix of glamping accommodation, but we also do basically, people bring their own campsites. So last year was fantastic. We've got a really, we had a great year in terms of, people coming to stay with us. We have quite a loyal return audience, which is brilliant, but we also have lots of people as well. So that was really good. And we launched our, last year we launched our Green Office Retreats, which is basically our corporate proposition for basically people coming to stay in the outdoors of a corporate company in terms of corporate retreats or executive retreats or natural networking. And we launched that last year, and that's had a good sort of solid start, and we're looking to sort of build on that this year. But yeah, we're in a good place and we're happy. The only thing I'd say is the weather in 2024 was a bit wet and miserable. So unfortunately, the one thing
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is there a weather alert somebody has that's going on in there?
I know.
I'm not sure there's not a tornado behind somebody that we're just going to distract them and talk to them on the show.
That's true. So okay, all good. So, and then I guess super looking forward to 2025. We're launching basically a cooking camping channel on YouTube. I know. And we are just getting all that ready. And then we are also putting in place a nature spa, which would be brilliant. So lots of exciting things happening, building on current propositions, all that kind of good stuff. It's great, yeah. But I hope the weather will be better. That'd be my ask for 2025.
You want no rain, or are you asking for something reasonable in the UK?
Just a couple of weeks of sunshine would be nice.
Okay. All right.
I don't think we had even 3 days of solid sunshine in one go over the summer. So it was quite a wet summer, unfortunately.
See, I could never do that. I keep hearing people keep telling me in Canada, you should move to Vancouver. Pass. I don't know. I want my blue skies and sunshine.
Yeah, I think you need. I think in the UK we have good long dark winters. Everyone really looks forward to the summer. But even with the weather being a bit sort of, rubbish, it's still a great year. People were still enjoying themselves, have the best holidays, all the rest of it. And really that's sort of what drives sort of what we do, why we do what we do, basically.
Yeah, I mean, once you're used to it, it's a different thing, right? Like we went to Iceland like last year, 2023, whatever. But like you expect it to rain and be windy and cold and like raining sideways on the top of volcanoes. And so if you expect that going in, then you're like, I'm going to have a great time. It's going to be awesome. So I think it's just perception and expectation. All right. Kaylee or Marcia, who's going to go next and who's going to be the best for last?
I remember last time. Hi. I'll save the best for last because she's been in the industry a long time. She's got a great story. We were on the same podcast last time. So I guess you're asking, how did 2024 go?
Yeah.
Is what we're catching up on.
And what are you looking for with 2025?
Okay. So last time I was on here, we found out that we were expecting our third daughter right after opening the campground, after building it for 15 months straight. So that was fun. She's also 6 months old, Derry. So same situation. I have my husband kind of keeping her at bay because you don't know how she's going to act. But she's literally just a butterball ham. She's so cute. 99th percentile of weight and 42nd percentile for height. So you can only imagine. Super cute though. But last year, so what we've done since in 2024 so far is we built, while I was pregnant, my husband stayed at the campground, and we built 18 new sites, which maxed us out at 34 for now. So still relatively small. We finished our bathroom, or we're working on our bathroom right now. We finished our office. We hired a manager to oversee everything, which was kind of crazy. It's like whenever we took that leap of faith and my husband came home and we let someone else take over the operations day to day, it just created such a better environment. I never knew how awesome having a manager was. And my manager is legit, like she's amazing. So, distancing myself from that worked out really good. And so in May, we had the baby, manager came on, and we've just been kind of, we brought Josh home, which was kind of cool. That was what we intended from the beginning with our campground, was to get him out of his, 80-hour weeks working. And now he's at home taking care of the kids. And I'm handling a lot of the back end. As you guys know, running an RV park is not a retiring type job. So I'm still managing the day-to-day of it and then delegating things down to my manager. I went to COE, which was awesome. That was my very first experience in going to a convention. I was invited very serendipitously by Mary Arlington, who has an entire, she's an executive director. Do y'all know her?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's great. But I got to experience that. And so our goal was to complete the rest of the 18 sites, kind of get our head above water, and then kind of take a step back and regroup because, obviously we had a baby. So now after going to that conference, I kind of feel like I can rule the world now. Like I got so much good stuff from that conference. And so now going forward into 2025, we're looking at, increasing different amenities for our guests as well as revenue streams, things like propane, firewood, just kind of trying to bring all that back. COE was really good at really educating, there's a little nuggets that you could take and learn from that. And I was able to get a lot from that conference that I'm going to be putting into the campground in 2025.
Yeah, Lori put on a great show. Like obviously she does Wisconsin too. I was going to try to come down there, and then I tried to book plane tickets. It's like $3,000 round trip and like $300 a night in the Hilton last minute. So I was like,
I used my rewards points, and Mary actually she reached out to me or whatnot because there was the availability to, I guess someone won a raffle, a campground won a raffle last year, and I posted on Facebook because I was like, I'm so new into the game, and it's either I buy fire pits right now or I go to the COE. Like, what is it worth it? And Mary immediately got on and was like, listen, you've got to go. And then she was able to get to go, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Last but not least, Marcia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marcia Galvin from Normandy Farms Campground over in Foxborough, Massachusetts, where it's really actually quite nice today. It's like in the 50s. So no white Christmas for us over here. But my family owns and operates Normandy Farms Campground. We have since 1971. The land has been in the family since 1759, with the same family running a business on the land. So we've seen quite a few years of ups and downs, but 2024 for us was more families, more younger families, more guests that want experiences like trail riding or fishing, but not just on their own. They want somebody to explain how to do it, like have somebody from Fish and Game come in and talk about fishing and then go to the pond and the lake and fish. So we're working on doing more experiential activities. We're also working with RV Today TV. We started this year working with them, doing some promos and some things at the park. And next year we're going to be doing some cooking segments. Somebody mentioned cooking segments. We're going to be doing that on the campground. We've seen a lot of generational camping coming back, like the kids and the grandparents and the have camped here, when they were young, and now they're bringing their grandchildren, that kind of thing. They're looking for that nostalgia, like back when we were young, this is what we did. And so instead of building these wild things, we're keeping it simple, where we added the farm back into the picture. So we've got horses and sheep and donkeys and not a petting farm, but more of just the environment. We're going to start trail riding next year. We're across the street from a state forest, and we'll be starting trail riding as an option for guests to do. So, kind of looking out of the box, but keeping it nostalgic, I think is what, we saw. We were up just slightly, 1% over the past year, which to us, it was a good year. We had happy people. It wasn't like a few years ago when you felt tension and people coming in. This year, people were happy and they wanted to camp. We have about 15% seasonals of our 400 campsites, so we're highly transient. We're located between Boston, Plymouth, Cape Cod, and Providence. So, but we see a lot of our guests that will come for a week at a time and stay and play. They don't really need to go anywhere. We've got everything for them right on property. And we see that as a positive. Guests, they don't want to, they want to, have groceries delivered even, that kind of thing. I see a positive for reservations for 2025. We're ahead of the game just slightly for 2025, which is good for us. I see one negative is insurance. They're putting, the insurance companies are putting a large thumb on the industry because they're deciding what is amusement and what is a campground, and that's kind of forcing decisions on a business sense of what we're going to do for new things and what we're going to change. So, but on a positive side, something that's really been important to us is our 20 group. Anybody who's doesn't know what a 20 group is, it's Ojai organized, but it's 20 campgrounds that are across the country that are non-competing that can get together and talk about, how much do you charge for firewood, or what are you doing for new experiences? It's really business based, and it's contributed a lot to our business. So that's definitely something that we're going to be continuing to do in 2025 and beyond.
Awesome. So I think I want to talk about, generally speaking, with everybody here, kind of what's one thing that you think people should pay attention to as we head into 2025. I mean, you take it any direction you want, right? Whether it's, I'll start, and then I'm going to go to Sarah. Sarah, you're going to have to listen to me first before you talk about campground management, right? So my takeaway is education, right? And obviously, for those of you who know me, either through the show or other areas, I'm big into AI and technology and how things are progressing. And so I think there's a big component to educating the industry that people need to pay attention to, both from their perspective and from their staff's perspective as well. And this is something that we've been thinking about at our company. And I don't want to get too deep and weird and crazy, but we're looking at literally rethinking how we train everybody in our company into more of a stop training them for a specific skill and train them how to learn, teach them how to educate themselves. Because I think that's going to be super important for the future that's moving so fast, is be able to critical think, be able to teach yourself a new skill, whatever that is that you need to learn for the week or the month or the day or whatever. And so that's going to be a big focus of us in 2025. And then with that, I'll toss it to Sarah.
Oh, good. Well, we
goes well into like the campground management course, and then everybody else like education maybe, and then everybody else doesn't have to stick with that.
Yeah, well, I've been inspired by a lot of seminars we've seen. You attended the improv training and all of, I love all of that stuff. And then we saw a need and we thought we should fill a need, and finding and hiring and training managers for campgrounds is a huge need. So we created a campground management course. It's an online self-guided course that you get a certificate when you complete. It currently has 19 different modules, and it covers basics from what is a campsite and what is a camper, and all the way to, legal stuff, everything. It covers everything. Lori Severson has been a big part of creating that course, and we're super excited to roll it out. And I'm super excited to give it to all of my team, not even just managers, just so that they all can learn all of the things about the campground and camping industry and be able to do all of it.
So you can't pick your course, but in 2025, what's one thing that people should be paying attention to, be ready to execute or immerse themselves in for a successful year? You can take that anywhere you want.
I from Normandy Farms, Marcia, I agree with you 100% on that. Experiences. I think that millennials are the people that are coming in now with families, and that is what they want. It's not about things. It's not about belongings. It's all about experiences, and we've known that. That's what we've been taught about that generation. So I'm excited because for us, it's the greatest thing about running the campground is providing all those experiences. I say all the time, can you believe I get paid to drive a fire truck? So
what's interesting to me is I don't think it's just that age group, right? Like I think what we've seen, and this is some of the reports that we've done with Scott Bear too, is that people are being much more selective with where they're going camping. And that's a consequence of less camper nights, but also less budget and inflation and all the other things. But they're just being very picky. And so when it comes down to like, I'm going to choose where the best, maybe I'm only taking one vacation this year instead of 2 or 3 that I did in the past. I need to make sure that vacation is the best it possibly can be. So now instead of like, do you have a pool? Do you have a playground? It's, do you have a pool, a playground, and activities or an experience? Is I think is what we're seeing. So it's not just younger, it's everybody. No. Which I think,
and if you're able to be really well-rounded with it, we try to do stuff for adults all the way to 2-year-olds, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Amir's nodding quite a bit, so we'll let Amir go next.
No, I totally agree with what Marcia said and Sarah. Experiences are definitely, I think a major driver, but, I'm hearing also from a lot of campground owners, not just on the podcast right now, we're flat or for this year, or occupancy increased by point, and that to me actually you're losing money if you factor the cost of inflation. So to me, I think the way I've been trying to rethink our properties is like concentrate on occupancy. Occupancy is king, and and even don't be afraid to lower the rate, but then try to supplement that by people are on site. What are they going to buy to supplement that? So if your rate went down from $50 a night to $40 a night, but now you're getting through experiences and other things that you can grant. For people to spend another $15, you're actually up by $5 per person. So there are other ways to see that, and I'm just saying, be creative. But I feel like occupancy is king, in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get them in the door. And I think there's going to be more fierce competition than there ever has before. And we've talked about this on past shows, but I've talked about this with my clients too. Like there's going to be less people, period, because there is less money who are interested in traveling, period, let alone RVing or whatever else. The industry is still going to be just fine. I'm not saying it's going to be a massive drop by any stretch of the imagination. But there's going to be, you're going to have to compete more. Just like we talked about experiences in swimming pool versus playground. It's not the same thing. So I think it's getting the people in the door to then, once they're there, then they're willing to spend on those extra ancillary expenses. But you've got to reimagine what you offer and what you're giving to people. And so I think that's a great strategy to start with.
Something that we did is that we lowered our weekly rates. So that's something I learned from the conference as well, is it was ROI. It's not return on investments. It's your rates, it's your occupancy, and like really looking at each site and saying, how much can I make off of this site per night, and focus on that as opposed to looking at it from a broader perspective, like a lot of us do. It's like, if that site's not filled, even if I were to be able to get $20-$30 for it, as opposed to my normal nightly rate of $55, then it's worth it to fill it, because like you were saying, there's those other streams that you can get from selling to those individual people in that site.
As long as they don't have a cyber truck and they're trying to charge it at your pedestal.
Yeah. I mean, our campground focuses a lot on nostalgia. That's literally what we're built on, is like the 1985 style thing. So I'm like, how can I sell to these people coming in? I'm like, okay, I can do an ice cream truck and play the old ice cream music, and, you know, just thinking of creative ways to do that as well, so that you can make more per week or more on your dailies and transient people.
I mean, that kind of stuff really, like, it interests me just thinking about the ways that nobody's been thinking about stuff for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 ever years, because they haven't been forced to, right? We were having a fascinating conversation with, I think it's Greg Emmert I was having a conversation with, about automated RV parks. And there's that RV self-park place, right? But we're just like, and some of this may never come true, but we're thinking about self-driving cars in the future. And, you know, they're going to be able to drive to New York, from New York to LA, whether you have a self-driving RV or whatever, while you sleep in the back. But they're still going to have to stop along the way until we solve battery technology in 30 or 40 years to charge.
Right.
So then maybe they're not sleeping at your property, but they're charging. And so then ancillary revenue. And what can I make them buy while they're here, even if they're only here for 2 hours instead of overnight? Is there a restaurant? Is there a vending machine? Is there a bicycle rental? Is there a whatever?
Yep.
So just, that stuff is fun. It fascinates me. Who's next?
Go on, I'll jump in a second, because it's exactly what I talk about when I do lots of talks when it comes specifically to social media as well. And I always say, I describe this business, we're an experience provider, not an accommodation provider, because that's what it is. You know, when it comes to camping, glamping, all these sorts of things, we're all experience-based businesses that have accommodation. So I think the accommodation is secondary to me, as long as it's got minimum standards. You know, you want it to be, have a nice bed, have heating power, all that sort of stuff. But that kind of is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. It's what you offer to your customers when you're there. And then when it comes to social media, this is the perfect kind of insight into it, because social media is basically just storytelling. So you need to be able to tell a story. And if all you offer is the beginning
of your experience.
Yeah. If all you can offer is a flat field to put your tent up and that's it, there's no story around that of what you can do, what you're going to experience, how you're going to enjoy it, what you're selling, all these sorts of things. And this is what's really big on social media is about that story. Now, it can be the story of the owners, it can be the story of the guests, or it can be the story of what you're offering when you're there. And the more that you do that, or the more things you have to offer, the more storytelling there is to put out there. And then again, content is key, and it's volume. You know, the more content you can put out, the bigger the audience you will have. It's as simple as that. If I
quality
put out
quality content. You said that before with the algorithms, right? But just to be clear.
Yeah. Well, it is. So if I put out one piece a month or 100 pieces a month, if I'm putting out 100 pieces a month, I'm getting way more of an audience. I'm getting a bigger following. I'm getting a bigger reach, all this sort of stuff. And if you're offering all these different things, it just gives you opportunities to create new content around it and engage with your customers and give them a reason to come to you as opposed to going to anybody else. You know, where we're looking at as we're expanding, we're trying to expand into different environments. So what we offer here in Skelmersdale will be different to what we offer in Cornwall, because the experience down there, you can be by the beach, you can go surfing, you know, all these sorts of things which you can't do where we are. You know, we're in the countryside here. So it's finding these locations based around experiences so that we can expand our audience across social media.
I agree with everything he said. And in fact, Brian, I would go as far and say that our industry, and I'm, reducing our industry to primarily RV parks and campgrounds, are not doing as good a job on social media and storyteller as some of the more high-end glamping resorts. So I totally agree with what Derry's saying. If I look at what Ben Wolf does with his properties that are more, I think we have a lot to learn. Going back to also the year education.
If I could also add something to that as well, I mean, everything everyone's saying is completely bang on in terms of experiences. That's how we've always looked at it. But I think there's also a different layer that people need to think about as well, which, I'm sure some of you are already sort of doing that, is the authenticity about the experience. So, people come and they stay with us. I mean, we're an eco site, so we're a car-free site. So it's all really about the nature experience and really that switch off. But what gives something real provenance and authenticity is also that you're working with local businesses, those stories that you're bringing to the table. They feel they're contributing to the economy. They're dealing with real people that are looking after them for their holidays. You're not just sort of, managing the campsite. You are hosting them as your guests on the site, as if they were friends. And the opportunity to eat local food, local activities, see things that are off the beaten track. It's almost, going back to the sort of storytelling, it's almost like the storytelling. It is storytelling, but it's also storytelling with depth that's based on the authenticity that you offer. It's not just, something like, there are a lot of campsites across the world. I mean, what makes you different apart from run by yourself on your location? But it's also those interactions that go because you have those connections and those relationships with people. So, for example, a few years back, which we don't run this particular experience anymore, but we used to run something called a wild gin experience. We worked with a local gin distillery. I worked with a local forager. We created wild gin as part of their holiday. They took away gin, that they had basically distilled themselves. But what mattered to those people was that they were doing something that was really celebratory in something quite unique, because those herbs and spices, to your point, Derry, would be quite different if it's in Cornwall, would be quite different if it's in Scotland. And that's what people want, is they want to understand the place that they're coming to stay in, as well as just sort of the campsite, is what I'd add to that anyway.
Well, I think if you step back, what we're really talking about is brand. Like brand leads to storytelling and having an idea of what you want to include in your story, but also how to present it in the tone of voice in your audience and who you're talking to and all the things, whether it's the local business nearby or the flat field that, right? Whatever it is, it's building your brand. And I think many people struggle with this. Like, I think most campground owners have probably arguably never even thought about what their brand is, other than here's my name and maybe a logo and let me get my name out here and then they're going to come. And that's worked sort of kind of well, other than like 2008 to 2010 with a blip, basically forever. And
I think branding is, branding is super important. I know whenever we were building, we used TikTok, so the American TikTok. And most of our following is from America because they watched us build. We had a story that was related with me and my husband building the campgrounds ourselves. It wasn't, you kind of have to know where to place it. So for us, there was nothing pretty about building the campground at all. Not for the gram, not in story. Yeah. So we went on TikTok and we started building there because, you could blog and stuff. So you really have to ask yourself, where do I have, especially with the glamping industry, obviously that's way more Instagram type content. Whenever you have more events, that's more Facebook type content. And whenever you're doing the nitty gritty and you're being authentic and you can be your true self, then that's where the big text, that's where the TikTok comes in and stuff like that. So just, it's definitely helpful to put a brand to it. And I think half of the people that came and stayed with us, they were like, oh, I saw your story on TikTok. And, I'm a huge believer in using social media to build your brand. And I feel like it's free and it's helpful and it can bring people to love what you do and stuff like that. as well.
So I absolutely love that. I love this. I'm actually a chief marketing officer in my corporate life, my non-glamping life. This is my passion project. So I agree with everything that all of you just said. I'm going to add a couple more things. If I'm thinking about what does a new or let's say a burgeoning one, one of it is managing your positive or maximizing your positive experiences. People do not take anywhere near advantage. They start taking for granted 5-star reviews. The first 10 are like amazing. You're like, woo! Then very quickly after that, they just become your expectation. Then you get a 4 and you're freaking out because all of a sudden your overall average is not where you want it to be. So I think one is figuring out ways to get as much mileage out of positive stories, amazing things. I loved everything you said there, Derry. I'm going to add a couple more not related to this topic. I think we've hit this topic big. One is networking that kind of fits with education, but I think oftentimes it's a lonely job. There's not a lot of us. Your friends down at the pub don't know the crap that you're going through every day. So networking with other people that understand the crap you're going through. And that, by the way, can be other glamping owners. That can be other camping owners. That could be Airbnb hosts. We all kind of deal with different flavors, a lot of the same stuff. And so to realize that you're not alone in this space is huge. And then the last one, not to steal from Steve Jobs, I think so many people don't take advantage of the fact that we have one of the biggest CRMs available. All of us have lots and lots of guests. We have all these different customers that all want to communicate with us. So there's an element there of listen, ask them, we all think we know what everyone wants. But there has to be elements of listening. But Steve Jobs said nobody ever came to him and said, build an iPhone, because they couldn't even imagine that. I don't think anyone ever said, get an ice cream truck there, Kaylee. They never even could imagine that. That's such a cool, crazy experience as part of their overall camping experience. So I think there's an element of listening, but I think it's not listening to the words they say, but what's at the heart of what they want.
What do they mean?
It's something that's uniquely each of the people listening. I think if we do those three things together, it gets exciting. It's fun. This is what gives me enough energy to be the corporate stooge that I get to be every single day. So.
Well, see that fascinates me, right? Because we've talked for years, because I do marketing too for 500 campgrounds, right? And we've talked for years about using tools like HubSpot or, a CRM to segment your email marketing into different groups and wish people happy birthday and, don't send cabin emails to the people who have RVs and just understanding what they want and their value. But I think now as we head into a world of AI, I think in 10 years, we look back on this moment, like what the fuck were we thinking sending the same email to everybody?
1000%. If you can't personalize and make that email authentic, especially if you have a story about them, if you don't have a CRM, but you're capturing what they said in their 5-star review, or you're capturing what they said when they wrote in your book in one of your, if you have more of an Airbnb or glamping structure, if you're not capturing that somewhere, you're not taking advantage of that, reminding them how great of an experience they had last year and why in the world haven't you joined us again this year? We just added an ice cream truck. You're missing it. You're missing out on taking advantage of a huge, huge gift that, by the way, all of us talk about the competition has gone up. None of those campgrounds have the list of emails that you guys have, that each of us on this call have, that all of the new starters have. None of them have that CRM. That's your secret weapon. Now, you choose not to use it, or you send, to your point, Brian, perfectly, you send a cabin email to somebody that has an RV, you've lost them completely. Now it's a wasted email address and they'll actively choose somebody else. But if you give them an authentic personalized to say, hey, we're growing here, we listened to you, or we know what you loved about this last year, we're making it better, it's game on. You can keep them for life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is just, we can do this right now. We already know how to do this. We know how to use AI to personalize emails. We can pull the data from the CRM. I just think it's going to be we're just going to look back on this. What in the world were we thinking? It doesn't make any sense. It was a bad customer experience. It was bad for us. It was bad for them. We have all the data. Just people aren't collecting it and organizing it and utilizing it in a way that they can. And
give you one more. Somebody with a bad experience, you can maximize that as well with a personal email saying, I fixed that thing. I listened to you. I fixed it. I want to prove that we actually created a better experience. You have it both ways. Once you get somebody in that system, you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that's another interesting thing, right? Like you have the people who have bad experiences who leave you a negative review or who write you a nasty email or will call and curse you out, and you don't know what's going on in their life and why they did that. And there's a fascinating book we used to give away years ago at conventions when we just did online reviews and social media as a company called Hug Your Haters. It was an amazing book by Jay Bauer. Still holds relevance today. But like, it's just amazing to me the people that I see that somebody will complain and they'll just say, I don't want them back. Why? Like, are you serious? Like, you never know what was going on in their life. Like, yes, there are for sure like some people who you don't want back, but I think they're a very small minority of the people who actually complain at your park.
And if you get them back and they love it, you're going to get 4 or 5 more bookings out of them and all their neighbors. And that's the magic.
They're your biggest, they're kind of like your biggest supporters. After you've fixed something, they will, like you said, turn around and tell about 5 other people. Like they have more of a passion about it because you took time out of your day to fix it. So yeah, 100% agree with that.
I use Constant Contact for communicating regularly, and I think I'm to the point now I don't send anything out anymore without getting some AI input, because there's so many things that it can improve. You have to edit what they edit, but any marketing pieces, you have to really take advantage of some of the resources like that are available. As I'm going forward, one of the things I want to do is reach out more to the RV dealers. If somebody buys a new camper, we want to get them from day one. So somehow I need to be better at communicating with the RV dealers in the area and give them buy one, get one free, some special deal like that. And I think with AI, I can start doing that. So I just think that you're crazy if you're not using AI.
Yeah, we'll have more conversations about that in 2025. I think I'm gonna try to do like a special AI focused thing that's not on this show, right? Because I think there's so much knowledge that I and some of the people I have are just because I'm a big geek and have no life that live in my head about AI and best practices and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot more. Like we said, that's a big thing with education, right? There needs to be more education, not training, education. Who else? Marcia, have we heard from you about what's your one thing in 2025?
Well, I think I kind of covered it when I ended with my other synopsis of what we're seeing for 2025. But I do think employees are a key part of the parks, and we've gone from having to host job fairs because we had positions to fill, to not having have to hire anyone because we have such a high return rate. And I feel like it's because if you treat people well, they're going to like what they do and treat you well as a business. So I think, and since COVID, when people really had the opportunity to rethink their purpose in life, that type of thing, a lot more people are doing what they like rather than doing a job because it's a job. And, if we can kind of nurture new employees coming in to see what the outdoor hospitality industry has to offer, I think it's just going to be a win-win for campgrounds.
Yeah, I think that's there's Seth Godin. I was watching a video of his, and I've been showing it to people for, 13 years, but he was talking at a TED youth conference about how, school is broken, this whole like training thing versus, actually teaching people how to learn. And he was talking about creativity and stuff like that. But that's part of it, right? Is teaching people to appreciate what they're doing, right? And an example he gave in the talk was like baseball cards. Like, if you want to create a baseball fan, do you teach people about the history of baseball and all the things and Abner Doubleday and all the wonderful things that went into the sport and how it became where it is today? Or do you have them sit down and memorize the top 50 batters by batting average, right? It's the difference between teaching people like, why do you, Marcia, have a love for outdoor hospitality and all the things that go into it versus just memorizing the different types of full hookup sites and electrical pedestals, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we can build more of those people, and then they just take that to their families, and then they go camping themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, what else we got? We got 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 and 45. So I don't know, can't do math. Anybody else have anything they want to share about that topic, or?
I think one thing that I'm sort of seeing in the UK is there's the outdoor sort of holiday is something people are sort of really looking to help with things like their mental health and a disconnect from the technology. I mean, I see it very much in our space because of the offering that we have. And I can only see that really growing because the conversations are really only just starting to happen between the generations about how they feel and how they need to have that rest and that time away from the technology. I mean, I've got a technology background, so, I get, I use AI every day, and all that kind of stuff. But there is a point where actually you just need to step back. And I think going back to your point, Marcia, about, people have got this, they're more discerning about what they want to do in their work. But even if they are passionate about what they're doing in their work, they just need time out and they need a rest. And nature is an enabler to sort of get them back to good. And that's only, certainly in the UK, that is just a growing space. I mean, it's something that, we're trying to optimize with our corporate retreats, because a lot of companies are recognizing to keep their staff retention and their sort of highly digitized lives, that people actually need a break to have real conversations around a campfire, have a few drinks, toast a few marshmallows, get to know each other, that kind of stuff. So it might be like, we could be looking at 2025 where you've got like, camping dating sites where people are sort of going to actually reconnect to each other. And sort of moving out of that ethereal space into the real world, and and it's a really exciting place to be, really. I mean, so I think mental health is an interesting space, and certainly well-being is certainly up there for the kind of things that we're offering.
Well, I think it's an interesting, we talk about the tip of the iceberg is the email personalization, right? But I think, we certainly can't discuss this in the next 3.5 minutes, but I think it's very interesting to me, the interplay between the increase and growing sense of technology and AI and automation and all that will enable us to get people outside quicker, to give them a better experience, to personalize that experience to them so that they can have those things that you're talking about. So it's interesting how I think technology is as demonized as it is for taking people away from that, actually now is moving into an era where if we do it right, which is a big if, can actually allow us to enjoy the outdoors more.
I mean, I'm thinking about using AI for like blogs. You know what I'm saying? Just to get you something like, hey, write me a blog about, because our campground's very 1985, 1990, like we're trying to bring that nostalgia. Write me a blog about how camping has changed since the 80s. And then it'll just spit something out, and then you can turn around. Oh, hi. It can just spit something out, and then you can turn around and put your own personalized touch on it. But it gives you a really good outline. You know what I mean? To be able to create content quick so that you can turn around and put them back into your campground. So. Yeah,
I mean, you just needed to use it to ideate. Again, something that we can't talk about in 3 minutes, but right. 2 minutes now.
I think people generally want to feel like they're part of something. They want to contribute. We found it very successful to get people engaged if we do like our Cancer Survivors Weekend. We raised several $1,000s for cancer fighting organizations. People want to be part of that. They like the idea. So what we're talking about doing now is even having a charity of the month, so that we would have 50-50 raffles and silent auctions and raise money for that given charity during that period.
That's a great idea.
All right. We're going to get a couple minutes left. Let's go around the room real quick. Talk about something non-camping. What are you guys doing for the holidays, and what are you looking forward to? Kaylee, you want to start?
I'm going to the campground. I'm going to be working.
What are you doing, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah,
No,
my daughter, so I have 3 of them, and the youngest one's 6 months, the oldest one's 16. So she's getting a car, old beater. So she's getting that. And then my youngest, my middle child now, she's 5. Almost 6. She's getting a puppy for Christmas, so I'm throwing that on my plate too. Then we're going to the campground, so that's kind of that's our little holiday plans. We're going to be finishing out the bathroom.
I'm just going to go in order around how I'm viewing people here. Marcia?
I'm just going to be a Grammy to my 2.5-year-old granddaughter Evelina, so I'm looking forward to some downtime with her this winter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sue?
I think plenty of food, drink, friends, family, a bit of wild swimming. And I'm really looking forward to a bit of a rest, really.
All right. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Richard?
We don't have any big plans for the holidays, but in January, we have to spend 2 weeks visiting our daughter down in Grand Cayman.
Well, doesn't sound terrible to me, Richard.
Well, it's a family visit. We don't have fun. It's just a family thing.
You can come up to Canada too with Amir if you want, and I'll go down there. Derry?
So spending time with family. I got a random knock on the door this afternoon. My uncle, who's from North Carolina, decided to get on a plane yesterday and fly here. So he randomly knocked on my door, and it turns out he's staying till January. My brother, who's based in Mississippi, he gets here on Sunday with his wife. So we've got everybody's evacuating the US coming over to the Great Britain. Spending time with family. But I'll be totally honest, I can't stop. I'm excited for next year. So I've got loads of stuff on my plate while we're shut over Christmas, where I get time to actually focus on not the business and what I want to achieve in 2025. So I've got loads of spare time to get myself into mischief as well.
Yeah, the 2 weeks over Christmas, I look forward to every year. I'm like, because nobody wants to talk to you.
That's it. No phone calls, no emails, no LinkedIn, nothing. I can sit there and actually focus on what I want to do, and then it's like a nice reset. And then January starts, and off we go again.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this out loud. I give my team 2 full weeks off for Christmas, and they probably think it's because I value them, and it partially is, but also it's because then just I have more quiet time and I can focus on all the things, right? So it's mostly because I value them. I'm just messing around. But Sarah.
Hopefully tomorrow my son passes his driver's test and not 6 inches of snow, and making lots of cookies and playing lots of Jackbox parties. My goals.
Matthew?
Well, first, Derry, when you get a random knock on the door tomorrow, it'll be me and the great hat that's come to visit. You know, North Carolina, Mississippi, Tennessee, we're all kind of in that same area. No, I'm going to figure out how to keep rocking a T-shirt with this fantastic hat. I'm going to figure out better pairings of that. I'm going to say a lot of prayers. We've got a lot of guests staying in tents in 50 degrees over Christmas and New Year. So we're going to say little prayers that that all those furnaces keep working and everyone stays happy and warm and just spending time with family. That's why I wake up every morning anyway.
All right. Last but not least, Amir.
Well, I'll be going to Vermont with the family for the holidays to ski for a little bit and then come back after the New Year.
So you are going to a cold place, just not here. Yes. No, we have good skiing here, Amir. Like really, really, really good skiing.
I know, but Vermont with kids, it's just easy. It's a short flight.
All right. That's fair. All right, so we're gonna close out here. I'm gonna play that. You guys can go if you want. It's a little bit, I know, over time, but I generated this song with AI, and so I'm just gonna close by playing this, and then we'll end it. But thank you guys for joining us for the last episode of MC Fireside Chats. Really appreciate you all being here. Looking forward to 2025. We're gonna have a co-host. We're gonna change the topics around. We're gonna talk about all kinds of stuff. We're gonna have new shows, new reports. 2025 is going to be a great year. We're all going to work together to make it that way, no matter what the external things are, right? So super excited for that. And, that's it. That's all I got. We'll just listen to this little song and see if anybody appreciates it. Like,
driveway's clear. No more late arrivals, ain't that sweet, my dear. We folded all the brochures, locked up the clubhouse door. 2024's behind us, we ain't taking it no more. Remember the guest who complained about the view, wanted 5-star treatment and a discount too. They're all off the property, and guess who's feeling fine? We're dancing by the office tree, toasting mulled wine. We're all camped out for Christmas, no rigs left to park, no backup beepers whining deep into the dark. All camped out for Christmas, honey, what a scene. We've swapped the gas guest list for some tinsel and evergreen. No Wi-Fi for drama or electric loads to fear. No more where's my refund ringing in our ear. No kids zooming around in golf carts late at night. We're jingling by the snack bar in pure holiday delight. We're all camped out for Christmas. Hallelujah, yes. No muddy footprints marching to the office desk. All camped out for Christmas. Let's raise a festive cheer. We'll laugh about this year and brace for next year's frontier. Come spring of 2025, they'll roll on back again, asking for extended stays and deals that never end. But tonight we'll bop beneath the twinkling tree, feeling like old Santa, footloose and free. We're all camped out for Christmas, got no sight to assign. No screaming full hookups on our office line. All camped out for Christmas, we're grinning ear to ear. Let's rock this quiet holiday and toast the coming year. It's all camped out for Christmas, we're humming across the floor. No rowdy guests or tire tracks at our door. All camped out for Christmas, beneath the starry glow. We'll welcome next year's madness, but tonight we're taking it slow.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of MC Fireside Chats with your host, Brian Searl. Have a suggestion for a show idea? Want your campground or company in a future episode? Email us at hello@moderncampground.com. Get your daily dose of news from moderncampground.com. And be sure to join us next week for more insights into the fascinating world of outdoor hospitality.